Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Paul7931 as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the track on the screen. This is from an act named 43 Baojia Street and the track's titled, Storm Approaching. So we're going to listen through it from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. And put the video to full screen. Let's go. I like the lead on the left with the acoustics. Oh no, that's guitars and that's electrical center as well. What I like about that is that we had an uneven amount of iterations of it. You're expecting a fourth one. To cut in the vocals there kind of takes the listen by surprise, especially when we've got everything sort of instantiated like that. Nice bit of vocal fries there as well. And acoustic solo, I suppose. I mean, it's sort of like self-explanatory, isn't it? It obeys a lot of the fundamentals of music composition and what works within it. Lots of different instrumental layering, not too much, not too little. Things sort of niched in different parts of the frequency spectrum. Lots of different sounds. The vocals allowing space for other lead instruments such as the acoustic guitar to sort of riff things off and provide a nice sort of contrast to the vocal fry in those previous sections. I mean, like, it's an incredible movement instrumentally there. I know I'm talking about things you guys can hear, right? But just the subtle increase in technicality of the drum fills there, implying a further sense of energy there. The various guitar layers, whilst being different, again, texturally, still singing and niching with each other to be very kind of neatly. You can also hear that really subtle organ in the background, that vibrato there, providing a sort of ground bed in the mid range there to sort of flesh things out. And just if you consider how the vocals were at the start of the track compared to this, it's just wonderful. Really wonderful journey. Allowing it to fade out like that. Excellent. Great song. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We're going to have a look through the lyrics in a moment, and then we're going to talk about things more in the conclusion. Yep, here we are with the lyrics for, what was the song title? It was titled Storm Approaching 41 Baojia Street. Right, so we got iron sparrows thrive through the air. Yeah, the things from the start instrumentally were quite somber in comparison to what we're discussing lyrically, right? Surrealist youths come staggering in with haggard faces and disorientation. Our generation walks through a painful nothingness, so we're potentially exploring nihilism within this. Across the street, leaving their anger behind in the warmth of a machine. Of the machine. Without a new hope, without a sure direction, there's not a voice to be heard, not a power to save. Needing new hope, needing a sure direction, needing a voice of anticipation. Alright, I get it. I know what this track's about. Going to talk about that more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named 43 Baojia Street, titled Storm Approaching. Now, the reason I'm double checking over there is because initially when I did this review, I got confused because I thought that the first word was the band name Storm Approaching, and I thought that the 43 Baojia was like the name of the track, but I'm glad that we've sorted that out. Now we've got that all sussed. So what I think this track is about, after looking through the lyrics, I think it is about someone who is sort of looking at the youth, the future, and how, you know, there's a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of violence for like the Silver Sparrows and everything like going on. A lot of people that are really upset, but then they're just getting stuck into the machine effectively, you know. It's just easier to conform, it's easier to be a part of what's going on than it is to fight it. And so I think that this track is sort of trying to ask the question of where is the future going with these people, these young people. You know, the old people are dying, the young are going to continue, like the cycle is going to go on, and what's going to perpetuate if things continue to be like this. I think it's an exploration of those sort of themes, and I think that's incredibly interesting. And I'm glad that I had the chance to listen to it, primarily because it was an interesting story. It was nice to be able to read through the lyrics there for the song and to be able to understand it better. I don't think I would have gotten that from the lyrics, from the song alone, should I say, so I'm glad that that's the case. I think that the vocal style with this, from that da da ba 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 ba, that kind of main melody that was not just on the vocals but transferred across various melodical lead instruments alt to that. That was one half of the vocals. Then the other half is more sort of like rock and roll with some vocal fry occasionally, sort of more or less being a bit more flexible with the way we interpret some of those lines. But there was just a great juxtaposition or contrast between those two styles to lead with the softer parts to heavy, and that just made the track more interesting and the singing more interesting to listen to. We were very clearly comfortable within our vocal range. We understood how Hidden Shear's voice and everything like that. We knew what we were doing there. It was pleasant to listen to, but it had a lot of passion as well and a lot of fire behind it there that suited the instrumentation going behind it, as well as the riff ideas and such. And I think that ultimately we just smashed it. The front person just nailed it. So well done. I think that the aggression that you'd expect from this frustration was expressed appropriately. The track itself at 5 to 15 is it's long, but I don't think that's an issue there. We had a solo section, a few different verse parts there, a few different chorus bits. The track grew in intensity more and more, almost like it was a kettle coming to the boil. And I think that that makes sense. You know, you get more context for what we're discussing in the lyrics as we go along, for the intensity and drama to sort of ascend like that. It's rational. So I appreciate what we're trying to do there. I think that in addition to that, we have an act where you listen to the way they were playing the guitars, the bass, the drums, as well as the organ parts, and I think that, you know, with retrospect, they do kind of suit the mood well. Clearly, it's rock, like clearly it's got the ingredients there of some sort of like almost some soulsy kind of bluesy stuff as well. I think though that the transitions between segments were great. It was nice to have alt leads as well as just instrumental sections where the vocals weren't there to sort of pad and flesh stuff out. It was nice that we had different chord progressions while still iterating upon that sort of main dun 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 dun, dun kind of that theme there and the upper register there. We smashed it. I'm really happy with how things were done there. It's very well written. A few of the instruments I really appreciated. I liked the guitar parts. I thought that the bada, like those riffs there on the low strings there slid neatly, or is either a call and response or underneath the guitar riff that was imitating that main melodic theme there. We also had sort of strummed sort of acoustic parts there, provide a sense sort of like a nice sheen, and we kind of added further intensity with some of the power chord decisions there, some of the melodic bits. Again, like the solo section that we had later on was great as well. And it was nice to have some of those lead parts to call and respond with the vocals. They're almost like the guitar and the singer were having a conversation, two different lead elements there. I thought that we navigated the pentatonics, majors and minors really effortlessly, whilst providing some chromatics and sort of like atonal stuff, like some really pretty ideas from the strings in general there, and the chorusy bits we had on the clean parts were dope. It was nice. The bass guitar at the bottom was typically very sort of well behaved in the lower range there, although it did occasionally come up on the register and sort of explore the mid range a little bit, which is neat as an occasional thing, just a way of sort of spicing things up, sort of like changing things up, kind of making them a bit more intriguing there. And it kind of brings them up to the level of technicality and proficiency that a lot of the other, like a show of that proficiency that a lot of the instrumentalists in this track got to explore as well. I think ultimately, though, they knew how to pocket it and they did so well. The drums were tremendous. I thought that the sway we had over the percussion was incredible there. We were very comfortable on the sticks there. We did explore the kick quite a bit, and it was good to sort of have a good measure of the sort of halftime cymbal grooves there, in addition to rolling with toms. We needed to some interesting fills there. We typically were leading the pace for the track. We let people know where we wanted to go and how we wanted to do it there. And the fact that we didn't just stay in one time like normal time or halftime the entire length of the piece, that we adjusted to suit potentially the mood of the lyrics or what was happening with the guitars or like whatever. It was great, and we kept in time really well as well, which is a bonus. The organ, should I say, the organ that we had occasionally is like a sort of a sub layer there, kind of warbling a bit of vibrato, and that was wonderful. I liked the fact that it was a constant thing there, almost like a tension in the background, although it was still very tuneful and harmonized really neatly with a lot of the existing chord progressions and melodies going on within those parts of the piece. It was just, yeah, it was well fleshed out. We continued to add little bits and more until the end. And I think there was a really sort of great escalation, not quite the bell curve that a lot of people sort of expect in tracks like this, but it was tight. The theme of the track, it represented a sense of uncertainty with the main dun 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 dun, you know, like that sort of like kind of almost dreamlike mystery to it, like people are being hypnotized or something by the pull of the machines and stuff like that. It kind of kicked in the teeth with the guitar, bass, and drum riffs and the heavier bits there with the strumming, the really sort of intense strumming there, the bluesy elements there, sort of like advising on just the dire situation of things. I think it's neat. I think it's a very contemporary sort of approach to it. It's very authentic for the genre, and ultimately I think that we gave that rock and roll feel our own sense of spice, and I adore the fact that we made it our own. I think that ultimately it was a piece where it was saying, you know, while I understand why you're uncertain of what's going on, if we allow ourselves to become too nonchalant, we're going to get taken over. And I think that's what the track and musically was trying to communicate, which kind of makes sense with the lyrics and the singing. So that's good. All the elements are nicely connected without a note out of place. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was good. It was really well handled. I think the leveling in general of the tracks within the mix were great. The guy could just clearly sing, you know, there was nice presence there. We didn't need to overproduce his vocals. The guitars, bass, drums, organs and stuff nicely balanced in the stereo field and the freak spectrum with guitars in different parts of it to sort of help differentiate them. They were great together or alone. I think the guitars started on one side and then like things sort of fleshed out, was really interesting because sometimes you just get everything everywhere. And it's either a little bit overwhelming or a little bit kind of uninteresting because you get everything and it doesn't really change. So well handled there. I think that in addition to everything else, there was sufficient dynamic range. It wasn't overcompressed, but it was also nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. I mean, effectively, it's a positive review for this track. From an axe named 43 Baojia Street, titled Storm Approaching, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via their various social medias, and I'm sure this is on YouTube and all digital stream platforms. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.